And Sid says, I want to share something with you. Everything going well, but since last few days, I'm having lots of negative thoughts. Well, join the human race. You're finally becoming normal, because the one who doesn't have negative thoughts is basically pretty much, we all have the same set of a kind of a mechanism in the brain, electrical systems, and negative thought is part of its mandate for many reasons, which we've talked about it in many different videos. And if I want to start talking about it, I'll go on for another 2 hours. I plan on making an elaborate video discussing this whole psyche and its conditionings the conditionings that we've received, each one of us, but pretty much the same, although we all live. The way the brain has been conditioned throughout our childhood and our life is pretty much the same no matter where we go, because it's the same engine, same machine, with same functions, mandates, and malfunctions. So that would be not too difficult to figure that out. And you have all seen certain kind of experiences in your life that you know this doesn't make sense, but it's there. So why is it there? Not because you have asked for it to be there, because there is a mandate in the brain to just simply conjure up thoughts. And in doing that, it has no responsibility. So it just creates thoughts without really having any goals for it or responsibility for its results or functions or what it causes. Because all it thinks is, since it's not an entity, it's not you, it's an apparatus, is a feature, is a machine, it just does its job, makes thoughts without any responsibility of what these thoughts mean, what do they refer, what kind of confusion it could bring. But it is your job to know that a thought is not intelligent. It is not the same as smarts and intelligence. It doesn't know about you. It just knows about itself, that is designed to make thoughts. But when it makes thoughts, you have been conditioned to think that thought is you. So when it makes thoughts and the thought stinks in your standards, it doesn't represent you, your preferences, including your gender, including anything else, and negative thoughts. You get bamboozled. You think, oh my goodness, my gender is changing, or I can't do this, or this is this way. But none of them is correct. You're just conditioned to believe what appears in the screen of your head. And then you get bamboozled by it to the point that you go nuts and crazy in all different fronts. So the idea is to understand the characteristics, mandates, and capabilities and malfunctions and disabilities, powers and malfunctions of this thing that you call brain, and mistakenly you think it's you. It's not you. That's the whole thing. That's one of the many reasons that what we all go crazy, because we follow thoughts. Thoughts do not represent us. Thought is a mechanism. It's full of 90,000 thoughts a day, all full of bullshit. You're supposed to understand you're above it all, and you're supposed to select based on what's useful and based on who the me is. The me is not the thought that shows up in your head. Separate the two, you will begin to find freedom. Freedom of mind, freedom of thought, freedom in your life. Now, we will have another video that I will prepare. That would be a while. I don't know when I get to do it, but it has to be done in segments. It's going to be a long one, and you better have popcorns when you want to sit and watch that one. Because I intend to get through your heads and make you guys understand that you are different than thoughts, and you are different than your brain, and you are free and you're the master. Not that apparatus that is running most of your lives and making you feel unsuccessful, unworthy, puts you down, keeps you down. Even it's arrogant enough and you're brainwashed enough to believe when it touches on your sexual orientation and your own gender and makes you confused. Thought, brain is very powerful. When it conjures up thoughts, thoughts create reaction to the body. And because you feel that reaction, you think, oh, you've changed to this or that or whatnot. All nonsense, all bullshit. Irrelevant, meaningless. We've discussed that in my elaborate series of intrusive, transient, OCD, HOCD, negative thoughts playlist on this channel, which you can go and check it out from video 1 to video 21. There are many videos on that playlist, but these particular numbers, numbered videos, 1 to 21, addresses most everything about it other than the angle that I will be discussing in new videos that I'm hoping to get time to do it. The problem is I think of it, then I forget about it, and then I got to think about it again. So we'll eventually catch it in time. All right. So Sid says, I wanted to share something with you. Everything is going well, but since the last few days, I'm having lots of negative thoughts. Oh, okay. That triggered my long speech. I saw this explosion in Beirut, he says. Patients dying left and right due to the virus. Even one of my friends in India passed away due to the virus. I'm having negative thoughts that I might also die soon. I'm not joking, just having these thoughts. Who doesn't? What's so unique about you? You think these thoughts just, oh, I'm a victim. I'm thinking about I might die. Well, we all have thought that. But so what? So there's another 80, 90,000 thoughts a day comes to our heads. Am I supposed to be following it up to the rabbit hole and see where that takes me? Where does it take me, that thought? Nowhere. It wastes my time while I'm alive to things that I got to do. I'd be sitting and worried about, I might die. Yeah, I might. Because whether it's a virus or something else, I might die anyhow. I might die for the sake of, I don't know, something stops, brain, heart, this and that. I hope not. I love you, heart. Always be nice to yourself, you know. Give that energy, good key, good love to yourself. Learn to love yourself. Appreciate, respect yourself. Anyway, anyhow, I might die. I don't know. Eventually, anyhow, if not today, maybe then, a few years from now. Who knows? So that possibility that you have considered it to be a threatening thought has always been there since 1,000,000 years ago, since we were conceived, since humanity became whatever, or animals. The whole premise of this life is temporary. In a temporary setting, everything dies. Who is alive to begin with. So that is not a novelty that you should be afraid of it. Oh, today I woke up and I had a thought of I might die from this or that. Well, every day you can get up and you can get hit by a truck. Why don't you think of that? Because nobody talks about it all day long. TV says, today 5 million people died from having been hit by the truck. Oh, eventually all these things finds their way as a priority in your brain. What do you think one of the main reasons for these OCDs and HOCDs and all these difficult subsets of OCDs that we all are subject to deal with? Because such thought patterns, such possibilities of being hit by the car or a different lifestyle or different sexual orientations, all these are on the news all the time. People's personal lives is discussed constantly. What trouble, husband and wife find, this cheats on that, this cheats on that one. These are all out in the open on programs on TV, newspapers, and tabloids, and these are topics of discussion that constantly it's coming towards you in your field of knowledge that is out there. It is presented to you. So whatever is presented to you is a raw ingredient for thought manufacturing plant we have set up right on this real estate, your head. That's the ingredient that this factory takes regardless of what it is. It's about lifestyle, it's about, buying a boat, it's about getting hit by a car, it's about bolt of lightning, it's about sexual orientation, it's about whatever it is that is out there has been introduced to you. Somehow it has found its way to the library of your consciousness. Thought is going to be active on it and making stories and negative thoughts for your type of lifestyle. It becomes a thought. But then you say, why am I thinking of this? Because it's out there and it's been focused on and you've been hearing it, and therefore brain is picking them up and turning into concern. Because its job is to create fear for us in order to keep us safe. So whatever is not of your interest, it brings it to your attention to make you aware of it, and in doing so creates fear for us. So this is not a novelty that you're concerned about dying. Everybody has always been concerned about dying, but because they've been keeping themselves busy with living, the dying disappears. But if you're concerned with yourself with the dying possibilities, which has always been there, it's nothing new, then you will miss the opportunity to live. The living will disappear. And this is what you've been doing. As I have said, which I've written on one of the t-shirts that nobody buys, it says, to help the channel, it says, life is an illusion. The illusion you focus on is the reality. So if you focus on this, that doesn't exist for you. If you focus on that, that doesn't exist for you. But if you focus on that, neither one exists for you. So in all cases, it's an illusion. But when you focus on an illusion, even when it doesn't exist, that becomes your reality. Because the reality for you is what you're actually engaged in. And if you want to engage yourself in bullshit, in negative thoughts, in intrusive thoughts, that you're a pedophile, you want to harm someone, you want to kill yourself, or your gender is changing, or you're heterosexual but you think you're homosexual, or vice versa, or however it is, well, that's gonna seem like the reality because you're focusing on something that doesn't really exist. But if you focus on it, you become occupied with it. When you become occupied with it, nothing else seems to be in your field of vision, or your field of vision of the mind, or your attention. Therefore, you don't think all other facts that existed and how you always lived and how you are and what you are, including everything about you, including your sexuality, suddenly they seem to be not in existence. Why? Not because they have disappeared, because you're focusing on this goddamn thing. And if you stop focusing on this and focus on something else, that doesn't exist because it never did when you were yourself and just focus on life and not being bamboozled by nonsense that the thought conjures up. You were smart to pay attention to what you like, what you are, how you are, without focusing on all these negative, intrusive thoughts that the brain is just making without having any responsibility, because brain is not you. It's not representing you. It's just an apparatus, does its job, keeps doing, making thoughts. But you're supposed to be choosing thoughts that you know it's useful for you, or dissing the thoughts that you know it's garbage. You're supposed to be the judge, not the follower of some nonsense here that is supposed to be your subordinate, a faculty of many faculties that you have, like vision, like hearing. Thought is the same. You look at something, you don't like it, you turn around. You choose. You hear a music or a sound or statics, you don't like it, you plug it, you go out of the room. You choose. But when it comes to thought, you don't choose. Oh, that's me. Oh, it's thought. It means something. It's deity. Oh, that's me now. But if you understand the ability of brain, then you have no problem understanding the bullshit that appears in your head, and there's no secret, no difficulty to get rid of it easily by just knowing the facts and truth. And this is the truth. I want you all to do this for me. I want you all to do this for me. This moment, can you think about a vehicle, any car you like, that is flying to the moon? Imagine, in the sky, in the space, and the head of the car is an elephant and its trunk is moving. And the car has a tail of a monkey. Can you do that? Can you see it? The car is flying with the fire coming out of it, is rocketing up, and its head is an elephant with the trunk going up while it's flying, and the back is the tail of a monkey or tail of a crocodile. And now that you have imagined that, I want you to change the head of the car to a crocodile and have the back of the car a tail of an elephant. I want you to change the car to a ship right now. It's a ship with the head of a tiger or head of a lion and the tail of a, I don't know, whatever, a bicycle. Can you do that? Now I want you to come on Earth and imagine a lion's head and an elephant body. And I want you to think of a lion with the head of a duck. Can you do that? I want everybody to say yes or no. Have you been able to imagine these, what I've asked you? Please, right away. I want to see the feedback, then I will continue. Tell me if you've been able to imagine, picture, create that image that I've asked. All right. Looks like you mostly have the one that I've received. Answer me this. Is it possible to have a car with the living head of an elephant, as I described, rocketing to the moon? Or is it possible having a lion with a duck's head in reality? Or is it possible an elephant with the lion's head? Has any of these things that we conjured up is possible in the real world at all? Is it? Can it be a reality? Is it really factual, what we just conjured up? The ones who think no, Again, express your understanding of what I'm asking. What we've conjured up, outrageous as it was, is it something that is actually normal, possible? Lovely Lily rightfully says no. All right. Muhammad says no. Good. Okay. And the rest of you. All right. So this is the ability that the brain has to create non-existent shit and make you visualize it, make it clear on the screen of your head as existing thing, an image that lives. It can create those images, which you all know it's impossible. It's not true, but it creates it so brilliantly. This is the ability that the brain does to create non-existent things. This is called neural ensemble, that sets up a cluster of neurons, creates them in different ways, and this information through the tunnels of transferring the information from one end of the head to the other end of the head to the next neuron. They live in different parts of the brain and they send them, but they have to be so precisely happening, that imagination on the same time, to be able to be orchestrated to create that image. And it can do that. It can do it so brilliantly because it's designed to do it. But we all know it's an impossibility in real world, right? We have no problem in seeing it. Yeah? But we have a goddamn problem to understand that this bloody shit does the same goddamn thing in our head about the rest of the things that we are dealing with in our daily life, including suggesting that you are no longer the gender that you've been. That you might, if you're heterosexual, we're talking about HOCD, which is homosexual OCD, which is when you're heterosexual, it hits you with the thoughts of you're not heterosexual, you're going to be gay, you're going to turn gay, you've been in denial, creates all these things, and whatever your gender is creates an opposite of that, but you have a problem believing that this is bullshit. Knowing that it is capable of creating all these things that we imagine that none of them exist, we all know it's impossible. You know the ability that brain can make impossible things seem possible, and yet you still fall for the shit that it makes you think, that to the point and to the limit that even tells you your sexual inclination is changing. Brings a thought, and it's so powerful, brain, that makes your body react to the thought, and then you say, oh, then I'm not the gender I've been. I'm not heterosexual because I just had that sort of thought. That is the same as the elephant with the lion's head, neural ensemble. It creates that bullshit because it can, because it doesn't know that it is doing stuff that is not true. It doesn't care. Why? Because thought is not you to care. It doesn't give a damn. It's its own thing. It's separate system. It's independent system. But you think because it resides in your head, this ability, therefore it is you. Whatever happens up there, it's you. It's not you. It's like a crazy person that is actually doing what it does, and you're supposed to think what that decides is the fact. It should be the fact for you. I want you to understand the relationship between you and your brain. That you're not the brain is not you. You're not thoughts are not you. I have put a link of Dr. Schwartz, the scientist who's spent all his life on neuroscience of habit and OCD and the concept of the role of the malfunction of the brain, caudate nucleus, delivery of the suggestions from frontal cortex to amygdala, and then the reward center and the goal searching center and addiction center all being on the same circle and working together. And from OCD you go to the compulsion, and from the compulsion you get the dopamine, and from the dopamine it creates addiction to dopamine, and then continuously becomes a habit. Then we go from OCD to habit, and all through this time you do that because you believe your goddamn mind. You believe your thoughts. instead of understanding it's a malfunction of the caudate nucleus in the middle of the brain, that it doesn't shut off the intrusive thoughts that it's supposed to automatically shut off, because it knows about your inner information, who you are, what you are, and these sort of thoughts are not suitable to you. These sort of thoughts you're not interested at all. But because it has malfunctioned to shut off the suggestions and intrusive thoughts, you begin to think, oh, that must be me then. And have no clue that you're an electrical system and you can malfunction like any other electrical system. And in this case, caudate nucleus is malfunctioning, is not shutting off the stream of suggestions, thoughts coming from the orbital frontal cortex. And because it can't get the response of negativity toward that suggestion back to itself, it doesn't shut down. It keeps sending it, and because it keeps sending it, it keeps being present in your head to the point that you think, oh, this must be true, because why is it not going away? It's not going away because there's a fucking malfunction in the caudate nucleus, not because it's not going away because you have turned into an elephant with the lion's head. It is just like that you believe that you have turned into an elephant is no different than believing that your gender has changed or may change, or you're living in denial when you well damn know that you've been living as the sexual orientation that you always had. You're heterosexual, you were born heterosexual. You're homosexual, you were born homosexual. You're not going to change. So these thoughts that make you afraid of this and gives you anxieties, these are what brain does, but it's not having any responsibility to conjure up thoughts based on who you are. It conjures up thoughts based on the fact that it can conjure up thoughts. Just like you can conjure up an elephant with the head of a lion. But it's not true at all. But it does creates it. But you're damn sure it's not true. And in the same way, it creates all other kind of shit thoughts that doesn't suit you and you're not interested and is not true about you, but it can. Then how come you can't simply see the fact that this, just like the other one, is not true either? Because the brain can make up any fucking thing. You're supposed to be the smart one. You're supposed to be the intelligent. Thought is not intelligent. What it shows up is not intelligence. It's relying on you. You, the me, is relying on your judgment to make sure that you don't get bamboozled by these thoughts, and you won't go nuts, and you won't go crazy, and you won't think that you are what you're not and you've never been. But suddenly it's suggested to you and you fall because you've been conditioned to think that brain is intelligence. Thought is intelligence. It's not. You're not thoughts. Thought is not you. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. You're you, and you're the master. You're on top, and you're supposed to be making judgments on all these neural ensembles. All right. Having said that, let me have a sip of tea. I get pissed off when I see people are being bamboozled by their own brain when they have a duty to understand their faculties. If you're a president of the company, you can see who's actually not functioning, who's actually functioning to the detriments of the company, of the corporation, of the project. And you will fire them. Or at least you put them in the mailroom. Or you just let them be, but you don't pay attention to them. But when it comes to this, you're supposed to be that CEO. And the garbage thoughts that show up is like employees that are not meaning well for the well-being and health of the corporation. You're supposed to simply put them in the mailroom. Let them be, but don't pay attention to them. Do your own stuff. Then you got it made. Then you're living. Then you become the master of yourself and on your way to freedom of thoughts, freedom from thoughts, and freedom of mind. All right. Muhammad says,